Hi, I'm Steve.
This is Jim.
Kevin.
Three guys from Barenaked Ladies, and you're watching the 24 Hours podcast.
T-minus 4, 3, 2, 1. Following is a 24 Hours podcast.
You travel all over the world, huge international success. Is there some kind of special significance to playing a date in your native soil?
Yeah, we're doing this whole cross-country tour right now, which is, we play Vancouver fairly often, but it's a lot of other places like, Lethbridge, Alberta, or St. John, New Brunswick and stuff we haven't been to in years. So it's really exciting for us to reconnect that way.
We all still live in Canada, too. We love Canada, proud Canadians, so it's really nice to travel across the country.
Do you find that there's regional hits? So, for example, something pertains perhaps more to the West Coast and the East Coast when you're doing your repertoire on stage?
I find that more in the U.S. than I find that here. I think that one of the great things about Canada is there is this kind of national culture. That there is whether it's things like public broadcasting or the national newspapers and so on, there seems to be more connection coast to coast with cultural stuff. Where in the U.S., I find like we had to go to individual cities and kind of build them up.
It's a little more regional. And some radio stations would just play one song, and we get there and When I Fall is it's a really famous one in North Carolina, for instance.
Really? Yeah, but you go to another city and they've never heard it before, so you never know.
Let's talk about some of the catalog, for example. I mean, you've been doing these songs for a long time. You still have an incredible amount of energy on stage. Do you still enjoy performing them, or do you find that you kind of have to because you've got such a catalog now?
Oh, we love performing them. I think that one of the best parts about doing the show is watching the audience and watching them. I think about a song like "If I Had $1 Million," which we've done a zillion times, and part of me doesn't want to play it again because we do it every show. But to watch the audience and they bring all these other experiences they've had with that song with them to the venue that night. So whether it's their camping trip or their first year of university or whatever it was that they did, that song was the soundtrack to, and they come back and they bring that back to the place and they sing it back at you, and it's pretty awesome.
And I feel like I've been on their grade 8 camping trip.
What we play? Sorry, go ahead.
Like every night we do about 11, 12 different songs, so it helps us to keep on our toes and keep the show fresh as well.
Not that I want to dredge up the craft dinner, but has it finally stopped flying towards you guys?
Yeah, it's very, very rare that you'll see craft dinner now, which is quite nice, because we only eat organic anyways. And, I would hate to return a host gift.
It hurts, too. It hurts.
It does, I'm sure. Speaking of the catalog, when you listen to your music now, is there anything you hear to yourself and you go, God, I wish I hadn't done it that way, or are you pretty much satisfied with the recordings? Do they hold the test of time in your own estimations?
I think there's some sound things on Gordon that I felt a little funny, but are a little bit dated.
It's our 80s album. Even though it came out in the 90s, it's kind of like it was the last of the 80s albums, and in a great way, but it does have a certain sound.
Yeah.
I think there's things sometimes I listen to and think, yeah, I could have sung that better. Or more for me, it's songwriting, lines I wish I had written better, that kind of thing.
But in another sense, when you're doing records, the main thing is that I guess that we commit to the moment that we do it and go, make a decision, this is the way we want to do it, and you go for it. And I think that spirit is something that has significance, and it can be pretty ageless, no matter how sort of dated the sound is compared to everything else.
Through the course of time, has there been feedback from some of the people you've sung? Have you had feedback from Yoko Ono? Have you had feedback from Brian Wilson?
Actually, yeah, both of them. Yoko Ono, when we did the video for that song, she actually gave us a bunch of film footage to use in that. So she was always very supportive and thought the song was fun. And Brian Wilson actually covered our song.
You covered doing a song about him?
Yeah, and he used to start his live show with that song, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah. It was.
I think there's a new DVD coming out that is a tribute concert to Brian Wilson. He was there, but we did a version of that song. And Neil Young does In My Room, and the Red Hot Chili. It's really a cool concert.
Is it coming out on DVD?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
Now, you got a great relationship with your fans. Tell us about the cruise that you recently did. How did that idea come about?
It was brought to us by a company called Sixth Man, who they actually are kind of like cruise promoters, where they lease out the boat and put on kind of themed cruises. And they've done them with a lot of like multiple band cruises before, but they hadn't done a single band's branded cruise. And we did a Barenaked Ladies cruise about a few weeks ago, and We had 2,500 of our biggest fans and us and a lot of our friends, other bands, comedians, and so on. And we went on a boat for 4 days and went from Fort Lauderdale to Turks and Caicos and back, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Barenaked Ladies on the road, has it become a family affair? Do the families travel with you guys?
It's hard, you know, because our families have their own routines. And for my son, who's 2, his routine is his main sort of control in the world. And so sometimes I bring them out to a sort of a pivot point where I can come back and fly back and see them every once in a while on our days off. But when our families are on the East Coast, it just takes all day to fly back home. So luckily we're heading east, and we're going to hit Toronto halfway through the month, so I'll see them then.
Are you happy with the video footage that's been supplied for Wind It Up?
Oh, it's great. You know, one of the nice things is we've been, you know, on this album going to the fans for a lot of the content, and which is nice because I think they really feel a great attachment to the band and kind of a sense of ownership, and there's a chance for them to collaborate with us a little bit as well. So doing everything from designing T-shirts to putting, you know, videos of them air guitaring for Wind It Up and so on, and it's been really great, exciting to see. And, you know, they've been remixing songs, all that kind of stuff. It's really fun.
When the Canadian leg is over, where to next?
We're going to head over to the UK to play for our fans over there. I guess
our fans, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip.
And the Rolling Stones.
Mm-hmm. They'll all be there.
Well, I can't say enough about what a fan I am, and it's so great to see people that just really enjoy the legacy of Canadian music, and you guys have done so much for pop culture in this country. Congratulations.
Oh, cheers, thank you. Nice talking to you.
Thank you.
24hours.ca